What is going on, Watch Us React fam? It is your host, Rob, and this video it's going to be the review of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. It's the release weekend. Hope you all had a chance to catch it. This will be a spoiler-filled review, so there's no holding back. This video, as you know, will be released on the Monday following the weekend of the launch of the release of the movie. I went to go see it Friday night. It was a date night for my fiance and I, so we went to the theaters downtown to check it out. And it's one of those things where it's like I've really missed going to the theaters for these types of movies. I've gone to other theaters near me, but they just don't live up to the Dolby theaters and AMC and stuff like that. Like we've gone to smaller theaters for other releases, and I kind of wanted to give Ant Man and the Wasp: Quantumania sort of like that grand spectacle kind of viewing. And this was the same theater. Fun fact: it was the same theater I saw Avengers Endgame with my friends. So definitely, it wasn't IMAX, but it is a Dolby theater. So you know the sound was impeccable. Everything looked great. Dolby quality as well. So yeah, the fantastic viewing when it came to the experience. So with this review is going to be a sort of like a conversation. It's I'm definitely going to kind of structure the review, but you know it's not going to be anything. I couldn't really plan out something that was script written or anything like that. I felt with this movie it was a little tough. It was a little tough to create a script. So I'm just kind of just gonna say my good, my bad, and kind of go through the characters, go through certain things I liked about the film, give you all a final verdict, and yeah. So to kick things off, we get Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, third film in the Ant-Man and the Wasp trilogy of films, and off the bat, this film felt completely different from Ant-Man 1 and 2. Now, you all might already know that because Ant-Man 1 and 2 kind of came in between in between other films, right? In between Avengers, in between Civil War, stuff like that. Like we Ant-Man after Ant-Man 1 appeared in Civil War and then Avengers, Infinity War, and there were like all the other their other movies were just sprinkled in between. And this movie felt for the first time like we actually had a purpose for Ant-Man. And, you know, with the introduction of Kang, the Conqueror, and stuff, it just felt like there was so much more at stake with the film. And that's where I'll kind of kick things off about what I like about the film. First things first, I thought the direction in which they went as far as visually is probably the best version of Ant-Man and the Wasp we have seen, the best version of the quantum realm that we've seen, even though we haven't really kind of delved into the quantum realm. It's always been sort of in that moving, whooshing motion as they've gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. So this one, we're actually taking a look at the civilizations that live beneath the quantum realm and even past like, you know, I think the word's like subatomic or subatomic levels and layers and stuff like that. And it's just like just on top of each other. How many civilizations and people and beings, creations just all live within this world, and all they really know is that you're from up there. Like this is their Earth. This is their world. The people that they encounter throughout the movie is just that's their home. So it was kind of cool to kind of see this world just open up from the get go, and we get into that fairly quick in the movie. There isn't that much of an intro to the film as far as like what's going on outside of the quantum realm, because we literally get a scene right at the start with Paul Rudd, Ant Man, Scott Lang. He gets a phone call and it's Cassie in jail. And apparently it's not the first time Cassie's been in jail. Why is she in jail? I don't know, but I guess the apple doesn't fall so far off the tree. But he take her out from jail. They have sort of like a little dinner with the family, and it's everyone. It's Janet, it's Hank, it's Hope, Cassie. They're all just talking about dinner, and they come across the work that Cassie has been doing, which is creating sort of like this beacon of communication between their world and the quantum realm. And this is where we start to see Janet, who is played by Michelle Pfeiffer, kind of start to get a little antsy and weary about what exactly is going on. Ever since she came back from the quantum realm, there hasn't been any discussion of what she actually saw in the quantum realm. So we don't fully know or understand, why she might be so afraid to go back or is so afraid to even tell them. Of course, as all these type of movies go, she couldn't tell them in time. Something happens, the communication just gets, just blows up, and a sort of portal opens up, and they all get sucked into the quantum realm. Cassie and Scott landing in another part of the world within the quantum realm, and then you have Hope, Janet, and Hank uh, appearing in another part of the world of the quantum realm. So once we're in that world, we're kind of getting that Guardians of the Galaxy, not even Guardians of the Galaxy, but like how we got Infinity War and Endgame, where some of the characters got split off and we're kind of experiencing two different things happening at once, right? So we're seeing the dynamic and the relationship between Cassie and Scott, which I do love. I actually appreciate the new actress. I believe her name is, let me just make sure I get it correctly. Catherine Newton, who is the older Cassie Lang in this movie. So being able to see the dynamic between her and her father, Scott, and just, kind of showing that like he still wants to be protective, but she's been, so many years have passed by where Scott wasn't around for her that she kind of already knew how to protect herself. She had a suit, there was an encounter. She popped the suit and she's like, "Oh, wait, yeah, I have a suit." And he's just like, "What? When did you get a suit?" Yada, yada, yada. Doesn't know how to use it fully. And you'll kind of see that throughout the film where, Scott just teaches her how to do all those things. So I do like that dynamic that we're finally getting a father-daughter dynamic when it comes to Scott and Cassie. Um, I like I said, I love the visuals. I love that connection that they have. I think this is also Michelle Pfeiffer's strongest, honestly, biggest performance so far as Janet Van Dyne in this whole franchise. So kudos to her. I think she killed it. We'll get more to just the characters and what I liked and disliked. But yeah, just overall, I think the film went pretty good. It was structurally weird at certain points where it kind of dragged, or some parts could have been kind of kept out, and we don't really get to the meat of everything, the gist of what this story is about until midway through, and then almost, closer to the ending of the film. We do get some interactions with others in the civilizations, which in the beginning I was very weary of and just like, why are we even doing this? But towards the end of the film, you kind of understand why, and you're like, okay, like they're not that bad where you're just like so pissed that they're a part of the movie. I ended up liking the civilization that started helping Cassie and Scott and the rest of the crew kind of defeat Kang. So I was all for it. I was just like, all right, cool. Like, it's not something that's just being shoved down our throats. It kind of had a purpose, and they made it clear as to why they're helping them, et cetera, et cetera. There were a little bit of mis I don't want to say if it's like miscommunication or misguiding of certain things within the quantum realm that just didn't make sense to me. There's certain parts where, in the quantum realm everything is small, yet they become super large in the size. So it's just like technically they're not large, they're still small, but just large in that area. Like it gets really like super trippy. Sorry, I have something in my eye. It gets really like super trippy when it comes to certain things like that. I love the probability scene where uh Scott is just in an area where he's just seeing probability versions of himself, and it just leads up to this awesome sequence. And even Wasp coming in, and she has probabilities of herself until they come to realize like, no, there's no other probability. Like I'm not thinking of other solutions or other options and creating other versions of myself. We're doing this together as two. That is the mission. That is the only thing that's going on. And then it kind of like all of the probabilities go away, and it's just them two. They secure the power stuff for Kang, and et cetera, et cetera. So I think when it came to all of that, I really enjoyed it. I think Jonathan Majors did fantastic as Kang. Now moving into the things that I didn't like as much would be the writing for Kang the Conqueror. There were certain moments where Kang, speech wise, Kang was great. You know, all the speeches that he gave, and I think that just goes into show how good Jonathan Majors was for Kang. But Kang the Conqueror as the character was just very there. Um, it was like I saw the threat but didn't feel the threat. Like it left me wanting more from him. And even though we don't really know exactly what happened with Kang, it still left me with something like Ant Man almost beat you in some sort of way. And I just don't think that should have been. I really do think Ant Man should have just like never had a chance against them. And I always like that was my biggest concern going into this is you're including a new big bad. Like this is our next Thanos type of character. Like there's a whole Avengers movie being dedicated to Kang, and you decide to intro him this way in an Ant-Man film. Like and it's Ant-Man majority throughout the movie. Cassie does have some parts in there, but doesn't really do it that much damage compared to Scott. Same thing with Wasp. Like you barely for this movie being Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, you barely see Wasp really helping out in the fight against Kang. Like it happens here and there, but it's all Scott throughout the entire film. And that's where I think my problem lies with this one. So it's just like it's a bit tough for me because I think throughout the whole movie I enjoyed it. I think if you're just going in and kind of seeing it all as a whole, you might come out really liking it. But I can understand if some people are just feeling like Kang wasn't too powerful. There was a lot going on in the film. There was a lot of the middle part that was just like, I don't really know about it. So yeah, so it is going to kind of attract a 50-50 vibe. I think just because of the way everything was visually, sound, the small comedic reliefs in between here and there, that helped me kind of okay. I do like it. I think I initially said I'll give it like a 7.5 out of 10, and I think it stays that way. I think it stays a 7.5 out of 10. I don't see it going any higher. I don't see it going any lower. Maybe with a couple of more viewings, might go up to an 8. Who knows? But breaking down the characters now, moving forward to the characters, because I think a lot of the problems of the film lies within the characters themselves. I think that's the part where when you see what they've done with all the characters and how they've given them their story for this film, it doesn't translate to what should be happening in the film. So let's kick things off with Scott Lang, Paul Rudd. Perfect. I think he was the best iteration of Ant-Man by far out of the three films. He had hand-to-hand combat. He fought a lot more. There was a lot more serious tone coming out of him. So I did like seeing Paul Rudd this time kind of, show off a little bit more acting chops when it came to playing Scott Lang. And I think he did phenomenal as Scott. Cassie, like I said, Catherine Nguyen, I did enjoy her as Cassie. Didn't think I would, but I ended up really liking her. I think she would do great moving forward. I'm not sure if they're deciding to keep her for any, Young Avengers or Avengers films moving forward, but I did enjoy her as the new Cassie Lang. As far as character wise, I there was a lot in between that I was just like a little off because she was older and then she kind of just doing like we missed a lot of time within that jump, and she's grown up a lot. So the whole going to jail thing, and then just like wanting to just be like, oh, I've got a suit. Like how much time really passed by that you got a whole suit, this and that. So besides that, I think she as like the actress wise did phenomenal. She matched Paul Rudd's energy, which is great. So she also has some kind of jokes and comedic relief in there with them. Then we had Evangeline Lilly as Hope Van Dyne. Like I said, I think the issue with Hope is they don't do Wasp justice. in being the counterpart to Ant-Man. Like the name's in the title, yet I only really felt like Ant-Man was really going to die or something from Kang. Like it should have been both of them just getting wrecked left and right. That was my only thing. And I just really feel like they're doing so much to just undercut Hope. So I really hope that in the future films or something, Hope gets just a little bit more action, gets a little bit like she has the wings, you know, like she can actually fly and all that. So I really hope they give her a little bit more of a role in the future films. We've got Michelle Pfeiffer, as mentioned, she was Janet Van Dyne. Like I said, I think she had the best that she can do because even though we didn't see her much in one, we saw her briefly in two when she got saved. This is where she actually got to show off everything. My only concern or agree, like what I didn't like about the writing for this is that she held off on this secret for just far too long. Like, you're already stuck in the quantum realm and you're still so afraid to tell these people about what happened between you and Kang. Like, why is Kang so scary? Why were you always so scared to go back to the quantum realm? Like, they even mention it in there, like, oh, we've tried talking to you before and you never want to open up about what happened in the quantum realm. I just think like it dragged just far too long while they were already stuck down there. So it's just like, just open up already and maybe we can figure this out sooner. But of course, she mentions it when it's already a little too late. And that's when all the craziness happens. So that's my gripe when it comes to that. It's just like you're holding on to this grudge a little too long. Well, not grudge. You're holding on to the information a little too long. Who else we have? We have Michael Douglas as Hank Pym. Kind of a different feel for Hank. I felt like this Hank Pym was like a younger version of the other Hank Pyms that we've seen. In the past films, Hank Pym was just like a really old guy who was just kind of, I'm done with being Ant-Man. Like I'm just gonna let Paul Rudd kind of do everything and I'll do stuff in the lab. He was kind of hands-on in this film, and it just felt like a whole different Hank Pym. Like it was just the vibe was all weird. Like he maybe de-aged a bit. He was like shooting guns and talking to futuristic ants and stuff. And he was just like, I don't know. He just ended up seeing like an ant god at the end. You know, he was just like, these are my ants, and then it's just the ants attack. So it's like it was a whole different vibe for him, and I kind of wish I would have gotten that vibe in the previous films from him. But definitely like what I saw. I wasn't too bothered at that. And of course, we can't forget MODOK. MODOK, played by Corey Stoll, the actor who was Darren from the first Ant-Man film. He was Yellow Jacket. He got sucked into the quantum realm, as is if you remember in the first film. And if you saw how he went into the quantum realm, it was like his hands and his legs kind of popped in, and his head was kind of just stuck in a torso. So he literally landed like that in the quantum realm, and I guess I believe Kang found him and created him to be a mechanical robot, you know, that just out there for, you know, for killing. So that's what MODOK stands for, is like something for killing. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but super weird. But it's not something I thought, I didn't know what to expect because I wasn't too familiar with MODOK, the character itself. So I just thought it was funny. Like I thought it was hilarious. I think the MODOK character is just out of this world. I do not see him as a killer. And if he was already doing these killing actions in the, you know, in the quantum realm for so many years, I don't believe it. But just the interactions he had once seeing Scott, Hope, you know, once he saw the gang and it was like sort of chatting it up with them, it was super funny. The CGI is ridiculous in that. One guy in my movie theater was just cracking up just bursting out loud, laughing every single time MODOK came on the screen. So that kind of just tells you everything. And last but not least, Jonathan Majors absolutely killed it as Kang. I believe he is ruthless and scary as Jonathan Majors. Like Jonathan Majors is just doing one hell of a job with all these variants of Kang. And I'm really looking forward to how, you know, they evolve Kang throughout all, the TV shows, the films, all the way leading up to the Kang Dynasty. Like I said, my only gripe is that he just didn't feel menacing enough to be like you mentioned you killed Avengers in other timelines, yet you got sucked back into another deeper quantum realm or something by a bunch of ants and whatnot. And it's just like, do we believe it? Were you not at full strength? Like, it's just one of those things that kind of just fell short for me. So, besides that, Jonathan Majors killed it. I think he's going to be an absolute beast, an absolute tank when it comes to the future movies. And yeah, so those were the major characters in the film. Bill Murray is in there as a character who lives in the quantum realm, who had sort of like a previous relationship with Hope. Isn't too crazy, but it was cool to see Bill Murray in there. You also got to see a couple of other actors in there as voices to some of the villagers that live in the quantum realm. And yeah, so overall, I enjoyed the film. I think it's a great popcorn film to go and watch. Is it deserving of the second worst rated film on Rotten Tomatoes and all those other websites? Absolutely not. 100% no. It does not deserve that, and it's an abomination that people think that, or these critics think that, because it's just like, you're either taking things way too critical as the comic book fan, and it's just like, sometimes we've just got to separate the two, man. Like, the MCU is its own thing. So many people know the MCU as just the MCU. There are many comics and characters I've never heard of and read. Ant-Man being one of them. I barely knew anything about him, and I only learned it because of the MCU and because of like video games and stuff like that. So you have to understand that these films are made for everyone, and you can't truly please the comic book reader to a T. If it was that, then they'll just make something on their service that's directly through the comic books. This is a whole universe they're tying into. Things have to change. Things have to kind of seem realistic, because remember, they are living in the real world. So I don't understand the hate. The film was fun. I get some of the gripes with the characters and with Kang and yada, yada, yada. There are 2 post-credit scenes that, once again, people are just not happy for. I loved it. It was the Council of Kang, and the second one was a snippet for the second season of Loki, where we get another variant of Kang. We get Victor Timely, which, seeing that, I went straight into nerd mode and check out YouTube videos from, other creators out there, and try to check out what in the world do these 2, post-credit scenes mean. And, I'm just like all of you. Like, I love the film, and I still don't know everything about it, so I go check out, the comic book readers, and get to know a little bit more of the history of what's, moving forward, and who Victor Timely is, and how will this impact Loki season 2. So yeah, overall, I think it still stays at a 7.5. If I watch it again and again and again, it might go up to an 8. Like I said, it's a very, very fun film. Definitely take the time and watch it if you can in the theaters. Catch a matinee, catch it for a cheaper price if you want to. But if you've already been watching the MCU films for over a decade, this one is no different. Just go ahead and watch it. Go ahead and enjoy it. Grab some friends. See it with significant other. Make it a date night. Like, it's definitely something to just get you back in the theaters, watch, and just witness the start of Phase 5. Like, take that as it is. It's the start of Phase 5. It's not an Avengers film. It's not, a Winter Soldier type of movie. It's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and you can't ask for more from that. So that was my review or overview of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. If you all enjoyed this video, please make sure to like the video, comment down with your thoughts on the film. I would love to, to read all of the, thoughts that you guys have for the film. Where do you think we'll move forward? And just to let you know, the future Marvel films have been pushed. I believe the Marvels are now in November. So the next film we're getting is the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And then it's the Marvels in November. So, yep, expect reviews from that from me as well. And yeah, like I said, this is a long video because this is more of just a rant discussion type of video. I couldn't base all of my information in a script, and I remember things, I forget things. So there you have it. You have 25 minutes of me just yapping away. So, like I said, enjoy the video, like, subscribe to the channel for more content. Once again, I am Rob for Watch Us React, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.